I hope you're doing well.
Good morning, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is David Okon. We have been talking about money in the United Kingdom given to people who need help. And this money being given by the UK government is strictly for people living in the United Kingdom. I have received feedback from several people requesting to know, especially if they are in Africa, whether this financial help applies to them. The answer is no, it doesn't. At least it doesn't apply directly, but indirectly it can trigger out a questioning in Africa, especially in Africa, that if such help is available for people living in the developed world, and more so, such help should be even be considered more in a developing world like Africa, where there is more poverty. Because the thing with welfare benefit or support is to provide for people who are actually in poverty. And the incident of the welfare system itself is evidence of poverty in the country, and that is perhaps because of ideological or probably political reason. You find that government may be reluctant to promote the idea of welfare, because it is embarrassing that in a rich country, perhaps like the United Kingdom, a lot of people still languish in poverty. There are people who are earning middle wages, people who are middle income earners in the United Kingdom or in the developed world, including in America, Europe, and Asia at least, who rely on welfare support directly or indirectly, or in money or in kind. For example, public housing, which is provided by the government directly or indirectly, through government infrastructure, through social housing, housing association, also increasingly through perhaps private companies. In the United Kingdom, we experience situation where we send our children to school, including in university, where tuition fees are supported by the government, and that being affordable. About 10, 20, 30 years ago, you could in the United Kingdom pay about £4,000 for a whole year to pay for your tuition, and grants were given. Today it is changed because government has withdrawn supporting institutional learning, such that the cost of education now has gone in England, especially, also in Wales, and also across the country, it has gone increased up to more than £10,000 in average. And this is evidence that the government is putting in less money to subsidize education. And in addition to that, the government is now requiring students to borrow money with interest. And this is increasingly going to be the case for every aspect of welfare, including universal credit, which we are talking about now. There will be a system probably of borrowing. We have seen with the housing, if you're getting credit to buy your home, that the universal credit system doesn't actually pay for your mortgage in the United Kingdom, which it should, because a lot of people not being able to buy property outright for whatever reason. In this case, buying their own homes, where they should be living, the responsibility of which should have been upon the government to provide public housing adequately to house people who cannot buy outright, who cannot compete in the market. I can understand the idea of government trying to protect the market, but this market increasingly are being protected for the super rich, who are the few at the top at the expense of the many. There is an inbuilt sense of injustice, if not actual injustice, in capitalism, in the marketized economic system, in which we have invested a lot of our pride and also our hope, which hope now has turned forlorn. I have been saying this, and I will be saying it again. I'll leave a comment below. Let me know what you are thinking. I believe we can produce a system which is fairer in the United Kingdom and also across the globe. If there is to be any justice or fairness at all, or even should I say sanity in the minds and also in the hearts of the ruling class within the developed world and also the developing world, there should be a concerted effort to give more, not non-benefit in Africa. And I have actually suggested to people giving me feedback to go and speak to their local leaders in Africa to challenge the governments in Africa to provide benefit. But the problem in Africa and also across the globe is that the global governments are increasingly relying on credit to finance their economy. In the United Kingdom, the primary sources of financing the public sector is borrowing and taxation. Borrowing comes from the IMF and the World Bank. Leave a comment below if you think that is the case. I think it is, or at least I know in part or in full that is the case. And my contending with the credit economy is that it is not of necessity that it is being implemented in the UK or in other part of the world. And therefore, I would suggest to developed worlds to ease their way out of the credit economy without compromising the public sector financing and also its expansion within the developed world, especially to cover the more than 90% of the population who need it directly or otherwise. Within the housing sector, healthcare, within the educational, within the transportation sector, and also the benefit or income. See, welfare in the United Kingdom or elsewhere is to support minimum wage or the living wage, as you may describe them. The level of pay, whether in employment, whether within the minimum or living wage, or should be adequate to take the British people out of poverty. In America, in Asia and Europe, Africa, the same should apply, where public policy takes the citizen of the world out of poverty. And that my contending with governments of the world across the globe, with globalization, with cooperation, the cooperation should be in favor of lifting the global citizens out of poverty. And that is actually a roadmap to peace. There will be no peace for the wicked if government we set over us to run the country do not listen to us and actually willfully, which I say willfully, leave the majority of the population of the world in poverty. This is the case in evidence, given there is more wealth than we can afford to even be poor. I mean, with one person being poor in Africa or wherever, there are so much wealth and there is a lot of knowledge. There is a lot of capability, including technology, to actually allocate such wealth as to lift the global citizenship out of poverty. I have said this before. Let's go back. Leave a comment below if you want to know specific. Thank you so much to everybody who gave me this feedback consistently from Africa especially, but also mainly perhaps also from other countries. But in the UK also there are people now languishing deeper and deeper into poverty. A lot of people are suffering, and some of them are contemplating suicide. Young people are frustrated. They are paid low at work. They are paid low on benefit. Young people in the UK, perhaps also across the globe, are so abused and they have nowhere to run. Their life is so expensive in the modern economy, yet we have a government who pay so low. If the child goes on to working, if they don't pay, they treat it like slaves. The apprenticeship is a disgrace because he doesn't pay people properly. He make people work as slaves for no pay, for low pay. The level of incompetence given to the British government, which is actually at the apex of the political and policy infrastructure. Britain cannot be incompetent unless there's something deeply wrong with the system. That's what I'm saying, because you see, it's a country where everywhere people are looking to Britain to lead. And where is the leadership now? There is hypocrisy, there is incompetence, there are ideological hypocrisy, And there is a lot of negligence, in my opinion. Leave a comment below if you are in Britain, if you are outside Britain, if you are in America, because what happened in America or in Britain happening globally because of capitalism, which is now being rolled out globally. We have mentioned this before. Watch this video and the rest of the video and leave a comment below. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed. Thank you so much to everyone who have been subscribing, and stay tuned on this program and keep on watching. We are turning now to look at universal credit. We are looking at something like if you are self-employed and you are trying to maintain your universal credit, you are by requirement to report your earnings to the Department and Pension. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. Continue watching. So stay tuned and continue watching. Thank you so much, everybody who have been subscribing, everybody who have been clicking notification bell, clicking like and sharing with family and friends. We are talking about money. Let us continue where we have been talking and giving a prelude. We are talking about universal credit, which is money given in the United Kingdom, and when you are self-employed and claiming. And we are watching this video and the next video where I say universal credit is a new type of benefit in the United Kingdom, where you can be working and claiming. You can be also not working and claiming. You can be sick. We have discussed different aspects. Going forward, we'll continue to do so. And therefore, you are required to report your earnings through your online journal. And we say that if you are going to claim universal credit, you are going to do that online. Online meaning you have to have access to the internet. You also are supposed to know how to use the internet. And there is a problem where elderly people increasingly, or also a generation of individuals who do not know how to use the internet. Internet is a new age infrastructure. So that is a criticism of this policy, where increasingly people are not being provided with equipment. If you don't have computer, the Department of Work and Pension do not give you computer to help you to look for work, which even if the government gives a discretionary money, they in practice refuse to do that. I believe there might be a conspiracy between the government agencies and the government policymakers who are politicians in the United Kingdom to avoid helping the British people. And this is, I have mentioned it before, the reason for that is not too complicated, because there is an agenda, a global agenda, to shut down the public sector, and the best way to shut it down maybe not really very agreeable among different political schools of sorts, and also political positioning, whether you are left, middle, or right wing, or you are thinking and practicing. Some people want the changes to be more gradual and more pragmatic, more actually considerate, but there are extremism to the right wing of British politics now prevalent in Britain, and perhaps also in America, perhaps also in the world, even below, but certainly in under the current conservative government, the resurgence of extreme right-wing politics, which are now driving the country into a lot of havoc, in it, a lot of chaos. There is extreme chaos in the public sector and neglecting. I can understand, you can understand that change is coming inevitably, because the public sector is going to close down anyway. But the way it is being destroyed is so cataclysmic that the people are going to die. This is a type of recklessness, also a form of insanity found among the extreme right-wing politicians in the UK who are so hell-bent in destroying the world. Yeah, not only in Britain but also across the globe, because see, Britain destroying its infrastructure, destroying its country, menacing its people is repeated across the globe. Because what happened in Britain is more likely to happen in Africa, in the rest of the continents, in Europe, elsewhere. And leave a comment below if you think this observation is accurate. And I would venture to say that the closure, the drive, the political drive, because the reason the public sector is being closed down is because of political reason, nothing else. It has nothing to do with economic logic. It doesn't have nothing to do with any sustainable, sensible, or even sane form of security consideration. Because if you want security, you have to bring peace. And closing down the public sector when operating the system of capitalism is a form of violence, is a recipe to disaster. I mean, you don't use violence, you do and treachery to bring peace. And you have to be on drugs, you have to be totally insane and to do that. And who has made the British leaders drunk? It is political misthinking, which is ideologically driven, and to the effect that if you visit the NHS, the National Health Service in the UK, you will cry. You will cry when you look at public housing, the benefit system, the employment system, because see, the benefit system and the employment system is the primary source of income in the UK, and I believe across the globe. And so we need to really pay more attention to what is happening with the public sector, the closing down, and the strangling of the system by failing to fund willfully, deliberately, and therefore the UK government is being ashamed of itself, failing also to tell the truth to the British people, is now having excuses, including accusing foreign immigrants who are accused of being illegal immigrants. What is the difference between illegal and legal immigrants? It is no difference at all, because you see, some extreme politicians in the United Kingdom, because of political expedience, especially now during the election, they become so desperate to use immigration as a tool to confuse the British people, to treat immigration to produce as a tool of producing racial hatred, which racial hatred is manufactured for political reasons to confuse the British people, thinking that it is foreigners, especially from Africa, from poor countries like Africa or South America or even East Europe, who are actually known for poverty, is like saying poor people are coming to take our wealth. That is not true. It is actually the agenda to shut down the public sector, which is creating poverty among the British people. And my invitation to the British people who are being so good to my channel, because they are the primary viewers of my channel, and I'm so grateful for them, especially in London, as a city, they are the main people who are supporting my channel. And I carry on doing that, but also listen more carefully. And you need to understand the truth, and visit gov.uk to check the things I'm trying to say, or public website of Citizen Advice or Shelter or any of those organizations which are actually helping the government to implement social policy. Then you will find out that things are happening in such a way as to undermine the health and welfare of the British people, and this is replicated across the globe. And it is a poor commentary on modern world with so much wealth, with so much opportunity, with technology. And we should be working toward peace by accessing our cultural resources, respecting ourselves, respecting other people, and also doing what we need to do to build our lives and also our livelihood. The world is enough, there is enough wealth, and I am so privileged to spell this out for people who complain of being depressed. Depression is better than annihilation, extinction, because if we don't speak out to put pressure on the government in the United Kingdom and across the globe, we are going to go extinct. We are going to go extinct. You look at Africa being the poorest country, the IMF and the World Bank financing the global economy, including Africa. failing to support African countries to provide policy, welfare policy, to provide frontline service in welfare system and program. Instead, restricting African with the money given to African by the IMF and the World Bank to producing capital infrastructure, things like roads, bridges, and all the other infrastructure, cities and towns which are empty, infrastructure which are actually the creation of wealth in Africa. Vast tracts of land being taken to produce these cities and towns which are empty. Rwanda is the case in point. If you go to Rwanda, you will see exotic hotels which are empty, and this is the fact. These are monies borrowed from Europe, and it is the same across the globe. In Britain, the government is increasingly under pressure from money borrowed, which is required to produce infrastructure. That's why when the government say they are financing the National Health Service, they are actually building infrastructure which are redundant. They are not really being used because the frontline service is being neglected. The policy component of welfare support is being neglected within the DWP, within the taxation sector, within the NHA schools. New places are being built. They look like 5-star hotels and they're empty. They are ghost towns and cities. This is the making of how the global economy is being financed by the credit economy, and my take on credit system is to shut it down globally, because that is actually a form of robbery, stealing from the poor, like Robin Hood, the Shah would turn upside down, stealing from the poor and giving to the rich, who are the majority, the minority. The poor are increasingly languishing in poverty. The credit system is a major problem. There is enough wealth in sovereign states, in global states of the world. They can use their natural resources and the trading system infrastructure of the globe to finance the economy without having to borrow a penny from any bank. And this is the part. This is not an offense for rich people, super rich, who are multi-billionaires and multi-millionaires, to pay taxes. It's not an offense for poor people to pay taxes if they can, because they are in the majoritarian sense. But this money should be used to get people of the world out of poverty, especially in Africa. And I will be saying this again. Leave a comment below if you think this is all right. And thank you so much for everyone who have been watching this material. If we are many, if we are few, we are better. Either way, we are winners. And I'm so grateful that I've been undertaken to take to do this program. And we are talking about money in the United Kingdom, universal credit. This segment we are looking at people who are self-employed. These are small, perhaps also medium individual business enterprises, and as opposed to investors or entrepreneurs who are on the side of the multi-million or multi-billion individuals or corporations. And these are people who, although they are self-employed, sometimes rely on benefit to complement their income, especially when at this period, at a time like this, small and medium businesses are being shut down. Pressures from everywhere, from the government failing to support them effectively with grants, which they should be given actually, other than being given benefit. It's not necessary for the government should have specific money to boost small and medium businesses. If they don't make profit, there should be money allocated piecemeal. I've been looking at this policy and they are so complicated. The problem with benefit in the United Kingdom, perhaps also elsewhere, is that its complexity. And it's willful, in my opinion. Leave a comment below if you know the government is not doing this deliberately. I think it is, because if you are going to give help, make it accessible and also sustainable. Because right now, you can try to claim benefit, especially if they are mandatory, if they are of right, which most universal credit is of right. If you are to get it, more and more is becoming more and more impossible to access, especially the sickness benefit. Discretionary benefit are also there, but 9 out of 10 times you're not going to get it, because you see it is non-mandatory. It is given not of right. This should be shut down. discretionary payment is a fake, is like a fake news, and also it's a form of policy falsehood. If you're going to help people with benefit, you're going to make it mandatory, make it as of right. And also the growth of discretionary policy is a stealthy approach to withdrawing the benefit from circulation. Some benefit is scattered all over the place. Some of them are with the local authority, with the council, especially hardship payments to support with the council tax, and also discretionary housing payment to support with rent, especially if you're in rent arrears, and also all sorts of other discretionary payments which are really bogus. And it's so difficult to get them because people you can be refused benefit because they don't have enough money. They have run out of money. That is complete rubbish. The government keeps reporting figures which are fake, but that they are supporting the social sector, the welfare policy, but these are fake information, because in practice, if people cannot access this wealth, then it is as good as non-existent. They can declare in policy that we have allocated so much money. This money is not applied because people don't access it. A lot of people don't even know this money exists, and including universal credit. Nobody you speak to seem to know there are grants which are supported by government with the energy company. None of the money is given by the energy company to people who need it, who are in debt, who are starving to pay for their water, also energy, because these grants are there and benefit are given by their discretionary. They are given to the energy and water company in the United Kingdom. There's also money now being given, funded to food banks, and the food banks also is discretionary. And this discretionary approach to providing benefit is false. It should be closed down. Proper benefit should be mandatory, and it should be as of right. It should be statutorily and enshrined and ideally provided by the public sector. If by the private sector, then the private sector should be given the obligation, obligated to inform people who might need help. It is their initiative to inform people who might need help with energy support, with food, with water, with housing. And talk about housing, you haven't even started yet, because the public housing is literally shutting down, because the government will say that they're investing in affordable homes. That is fake news, because in factories there isn't any money. Maybe they are building property. I don't know where they put the property. These properties are probably empty, because every time you go to the council, any council, to get public housing, you don't get it. 9 out of 10 times. You don't get it, even if you are eligible. And the eligibility criteria is made so tough that only a tiny proportion of people are actually eligible for public housing. And how can the government say you can get housing? You cannot get housing. If you can't get housing, then the government is not providing public housing, because eligibility criteria is so tough. People to get eligible for housing is almost impossible, because it is so restricted. And even if you are going to be asked to go and rent privately, there is nothing you can do about it, because the government has given absolute authority and power to the local authorities, who are lacking in resources anyway. The government has served public services, public sector to the bones. And if you try to challenge them in court, because most of these processes are not really funded by legal aid, so people who cannot have access to legal financing are denied justice in the UK. And this is part of the public sector. It's part of the welfare support. And I'm talking about welfare for support. People think about welfare benefit or money, but this is more than money, because I want to talk about money now, because I'm talking about money. And leave a comment below, let me know what you're thinking. Stay tuned, continue watching. Thank you so much. So stay tuned. continue watching, let us talk about money given by the United Kingdom to the British people. Continue watching and subscribe to this channel. If you haven't subscribed, leave a comment below and share this video. If you watch it with family and friends, continue supporting this great channel and leave a comment below what you think about this facility. And thank you very, very much for your help as always. And if you are working self-employed, you are required to report your earnings through your online journal. If you have done if you have done paid work for an employer, you should report this income too. So this is actually a reporting mechanism which is required. And the Department of Work and Pensions, visit gov.uk or public website or Citizen Advice or similar organization to get the details, how to contact these people. And this information is vital, it's important increasingly now because a lot of people are actually losing their jobs because of technology, artificial intelligence, 3D printers, and all these things. If you watch this video, watch with the rest of the videos. And their opening hours is Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Calls are free from mobile and landlines. Thank you so much for your support. And normally, if you don't make a profit in a month, you should still report your income and what you have spent on your business through your online journal. And if you have made a loss, this will be taken off your profit the next time you make profit. This means you might get more universal credit in the future. If you have made loss, also you should record your income as nil. The Department of Work and Pensions will still apply the minimum income floor if it applies to them. Check if the minimum income floor will be used to work out your payments. Thank you very much. And when you report your monthly earnings, the Department of Work and Pensions should automatically carry out your loss into the next assessment period. This means your universal credit payments might be more for the following months. Let us look at example of a taxi driver. In a certain month, he earns £500 from his business and pays £1,000 for new equipment. The self-employed earnings are nil and he has a loss of £500. So the loss can be deducted from his profit in February during the next assessment period. In February, he earns £1,000 from his business. The Department of Work and Pensions deduct the loss of £500 from the previous assessment period. This is income for February. In the next month, he buys to £500. Example of someone else who is self-employed who gets universal credit. In January, she reports that she made a loss of £500. In February, she reports that she made a profit of £800. The loss from January is taken off the profit from February. 800 minus 500 is 300. That individual universal credit payment for February is calculated as if she made a profit of 300. So what happens next? The Department of Work and Pensions will check your earnings amount and whether the minimum income floor applies to you. And watch this video and the rest of the video because they are connected. Some of the information, things like the minimum income floor are being discussed there. Then they will work out how much universal credit you should get paid for assessment period. The Department of Work and Pensions aim to pay you within 7 days of the last day of your assessment period. Thank you so much for your support. Stay tuned and keep on watching. Thank you so much. And you can also check your income minimum income floors as it applies to you. And let us look at debt and rent arrears. Stay tuned. Continue watching. Thank you so much.
You do my brother, what you know.
debt and rent arrears on universal credit. You might be able to get extra help if you are struggling with money and you are on universal credit or you have recently applied for it. You can get money early if you have just applied. You will usually get your first universal credit payment 5 weeks after you apply. You can ask to get your first payment sooner if you are worried you would have enough money to live on. If you will not have enough money to live on, this is called advance payment. Leave a comment below if you are on benefit. If you know somebody who might need benefit, then leave a comment below if you think they might need help. You can visit Government of UK. If you're in the United Kingdom, you can go to Citizen Advice or any of the advisory services in the UK. The advance payment is a loan. The repayment get taken off your universal credit payments automatically until you have paid it back. Find out how to get an advance payment on online as it is. And if you are repaying a debt, if you are paying back creditors or a debt management company, contact them to explain the situation. This is to do with debt. Tell them you applied to universal credit but you won't get your first payment for a while. Say when, if you can. Ask them if they will accept a late payment. A lot of people on benefit get into debt, and sometimes you have to take the money from your benefit and pay debt. I think this is not right, because the primary reason people get into debt, number one, because the level of pay if you're working is too low, and also the level of benefit is too low, so low that they perpetually keep workers and the people on benefit in poverty. The argument for work and also benefit is to get the British people out of poverty. Leave a comment below if you think this is the right idea and policy for the government. If you have an MP, go and tell them and ask them to tell the Parliament, and ask Parliament to tell the government to change their policy on minimum wage and living wages, raising them up, in my opinion, to at least £20,000 per annum for people who work for a living on low pay. This, in my opinion, will substantially reduce their risk or incident of remaining in poverty. It's a good start, but ultimately I think it should need to rise up to 30,000, in my opinion, per annum for people working to get out of poverty, in the same amount for minimum wage when it is raised or otherwise should be given to people who are on benefit piecemeal, and it should be actually easy to access it, and also to maintain benefit. Things like benefit sanctions should be eradicated. Things like health assessment for people who are sick should be removed, because it is health assessment in particular which is now an Achilles heel on the benefit, on people accessing who are sick, who cannot get access to benefit. In my opinion, sickness benefit should be removed because it is so irrelevant. The money should be given to the health services to improve staffing there. And it's as much as the government would build infrastructure, which is the correct thing, also building capital projects, it should be balanced between policy and also capital and infrastructure, such that people needing help should have enough staff working to provide health service. For example, and also within the housing, there should be enough housing stock. If there are housing stock, the policy of accessing housing should be made easy, and there is no point in somebody who is homeless to wait for 20 years in a temporary accommodation without any housing status right. And this is actually a false economy and also reckless. I think probably motivated by wrong political ideology. Let us look at universal credit here. Let us look at the condition when you struggle. You can also check if you can get help with your debt and contact your nearest citizen advice for debt advice, because with citizen advice they are limited to resources as well. The government should start funding citizen advice effectively. They should be funding other debt advisors effectively, because now they are they are dancing on thin ice in terms of funding, because an organization, it doesn't matter how good it is, how well reputed it is, etc. Like, without funding, it is like a ghost town. I mean, it's like a sitting duck, because in as much as they are passionate and really wanting to help people, then there is a form of wickedness to do with failure to fund coming with the British government. These organizations are now like ghost towns. They are like empty shells. So you can also change how you are paid in terms of whether you are being paid or not. You can ask to have your universal credit paid differently to help you manage your money. These are called alternative payment arrangements. You might be also able to get your housing costs paid straight to your landlord instead of being part of your universal credit payment. And thank you so much for your watching this material. Stay tuned, continue watching. And universal credit payment twice a month instead of once a month is an alternative method of arrangement of paying your alternative payment of your universal credit as an arrangement. And also you can pay separate universal credit payment from your partner. If you are with a partner and you are in agreement or in disagreement, you have the right to choose under normal circumstances to get it paid separately. When you can get an alternative payment arrangement, you might be able to get an alternative payment arrangement if you are in debt or in debt arrears, have disability, including a mental health condition, are homeless or are at risk of losing your home, have experienced domestic violence, or having learning disability difficulty, or like disability, perhaps like problem with reading or writing, in a temporary accommodation or supported accommodation. If you are 16 or 17 or live in care or a caregiver, have an addiction to drugs, alcohol, or gambling. These are circumstances where you might be given alternative payment arrangements. If you are struggling to get by for other reasons, you might still be considered. Contact your nearest citizen advice for help. Eligibility for alternative payment arrangements, as well as the main criteria for getting an alternative payment arrangement. There are some other reasons that are less likely to be accepted. These reasons include if you or your partner have a history of rent arrears, have third-party deduction from your benefit, have just left prison or hospital, has recently been bereaved, don't speak English as your first language, are a refugee or asylum seeker, have left the armed forces, don't have a job or an education, don't have a bank account. You can read the guidelines on alternative payment arrangement on gov.uk. This page is part of universal credit and landlords on gov.uk, asking for alternative arrangement payments. Payment arrangement. If you are applying for universal credit or you are about to apply, you should ask for the arrangement you want at your interview. And if you are already getting universal credit, you should call the universal credit helpline or go online on gov.uk or contact the Citizen Advice or similar organization to get such help, like I have said elsewhere. And you always get help somewhere, although it is increasingly more difficult now. They are open Monday to Friday, especially if you're looking to contact the Universal Credit Helpline, and they're open from Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Calls are free for mobiles and landlines. And continue watching, stay tuned, and thank you so much for your help, and continue. So thank you for watching. I'll be stopping this segment of the video. This is part A of the segment of the video. And thank you so much. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed, and leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Click like, click notification bell, share the video with family and friends, and let me know what you're thinking. And this is part of the video in this series. This is part A, and you're going to get part B as well as this. So keep an eye, if you watch this video, keep an eye for part B of this segment. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.